Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Plot Twist podcast. My name is Katharina. I am coming to you from Berlin, Germany, which is where I grew up and where I now live with my husband and our 3 kids. Welcome to yet another episode. You can find me on the internet as follows. I am Katharina Nitz on Instagram. I am Frau Christ on Ravelry, and I do have a Ravelry group for this podcast, so please hop on over and join if you feel like it. And you can also send me an email. The email address is hello@plottwistyarns.com. That's what it is. I'll link everything down below for you so you can click on the links and you know where to find me, and you can go directly to the individual project pages and to my Ko-fi page and so on and so forth. So whatever you're looking for, I hope you'll find it down there in the description box below this video. Okay, so I am glad to be back and talking to you before my 2 weeks are up. Usually there's a bi-weekly rhythm to my filming videos, and I'm a little bit early because today's a Wednesday and I would usually have filmed on the weekend, which means that one of my works in progress is not finished and might have been on the weekend, but I don't care. And today I am or let's say in the morning now, I am kid-free, so I had an empty house and I thought I need to make good use of that and get this podcast filmed before it's too late and the weekend gets hectic. And this weekend is going to be quite full, so here I am. It's so good to be back and to chat to you. Summer has arrived. It's in full swing, even though despite of that, I still managed to get a croaky voice yet again, as did my entire family, it seems. That's just what happens with it being very hot and then a little bit colder and then very damp, because we've had, thankfully, a little bit of rain over the last few days, but it's gotten very humid and honestly quite insufferable. It's been really hard over those last few days because it's just been so damp and warm. I hope for thunderstorms so that, we can settle into a less fuzz weather, sort of. I don't know if you care about that, but that's just what's going on here, and that's why I am dealing with a croaky voice yet again. So we're just gonna have to accept the fact that it's always a season where you can catch a cold. Okay, I'll just, before I babble on about all kinds of stuff, I'll just jump right in the finished objects. What I've finished over those last 10 days or whatever it's been. Okay, let me take a sip and then I'll talk to you about my little crochet FOs. Okay, so I don't know what I'll cut out from this, from the last 10 minutes of filming, but I wanted to start my FO section, and then I realized that 2 of my finished objects of the last few weeks aren't here with me. And I think one of them is older than, has been finished when I filmed the last podcast, but I don't think I've shown it on it. So now you get to see both of them. I made 2 little, so these are crochet projects. I made 2 little amigurumi ghosts for my 2 sons. I finished the first one on the last day of May, I think. So it was my contribution, just barely still, but I made it, to amigurumi. So I used that hashtag because I was inspired to crochet a little amigurumi over this month, but I only made it at the very end of that month. But it doesn't matter. Here it is. A little crochet ghost. It's already well loved and a little bit dirty and it's already got a snag here. It doesn't matter. And he's got these orangey red eyes and mouth. It doesn't quite focus, I don't think, but it doesn't matter because this was for my oldest son who has red hair. So that was supposed to be the marker that this is his. When I finished this, however, I realized that if I make another white stuffy, I'm gonna have to stuff it with white or very light colored wool, because the way that I stuff these is whenever I finish a project, I snip off the ends, and after weaving in and blocking and everything, and I collect them in a little jar. And whenever I make an amigurumi, I use that wool to stuff them with. And I realized it will show if I use darker snippets that I put in here. And it's not that it's a super loose gauge. I wouldn't have wanted to go for a tighter one, but you can just see if when I put like dark blue yarn in here, you'll just know. And so I pulled out all the white strands, and I just made it. But so I figured, okay, they're not going to need to be distinguished by the color of their eyes, because I thought I'm going to make one with brown eyes for my middle son, because he has brown hair, and then one with yellow eyes for my daughter, because she is blonde. So because they all have different hair colors. And now that's not going to happen. And he wished for, so my middle son wished for yellow and blue, because that's a soccer team, a fictional soccer team from like a story that he likes to listen to, that he's very into. So both of my boys are really into soccer, like really into soccer right now. And so he asked for that repeatedly, and he was very adamant. And I thought, okay, so it's going to be yellow and blue. And I took the colors those shades of yellow and blue that I already had at home. And that's what this little fella looks like. I hope you can see. So, and I made him blue eyes, light blue eyes, and also the mouth I embroidered on in this light blue color. I hope you can see, but the thing is, it wasn't a good choice. Like this color, I can't even see the mouth on screen now, but well, I told him when he got this, because he's been waiting for that, because I finished one, and my oldest son, he really had issues going to bed without me. He felt sort of that it was unfair that I took more time to take my little daughter to bed, who's only 2, and whereas he, who is about to turn 8, had to miss out on that, and and so I thought he needs to have something from me to take to bed with him to make that a little easier. And I wanted him to get a special treatment now, and to be the first one to get this little ghost. Plus both of my sons, but especially the older one, are really scared of ghosts, especially when it's dark. And I told him, like, if you have one of these, no ghost is going to come, because they see there's already one there, and it's a ghost that's going to protect you. So you don't have to be afraid, This little guy is going to send away all those other ghosts for you. And he bought that story a little bit. He thought, yeah, okay, so he knows it's a token, but it helps him, And also it helped him having something that I made especially for him and only for him. So that worked out well. I think it really did make it easier for him in the evenings. But then my middle son wanted one too. And then I thought, okay, so I'm going to custom make this for him in his colors that he insists upon. It really blends in with my dress, doesn't it? So I have to put it somewhere where you can see it. And it was a hit too. He loved it. Was very, very happy, because he asked me repeatedly, Mom, have you knit on mine? He always says knit even when it's crochet. And I said, yes, I have a little bit, and I show you the progress and blah, blah, blah. And then he was so happy, and he was really, really very happy when this was done. And I told him, if you don't like the mouth and the eyes, or maybe just the mouth, I can, crochet this on in a different color, and you can choose another color if you want to, because this is easy to take out and then, embroider onto the finished object. And he said, no, it's perfect. That's exactly how I wanted. I thought, okay, that's all that matters, And I made these, I told him I made him, this little guy, blue eyes, because my son has really very strong blue eyes. I mean, all of my kids do, but he especially. Anyway, so this is my little amigurumi collection for now. These are 2 finished objects of the last few weeks, and this I really finished about a week ago, I want to say. So definitely since last time I spoke to you. Okay, and Oh, I have to tell you about the pattern. And now this is stuffed a bit more tightly, which is why it looks a little smaller, but it doesn't matter. The pattern is it's a free pattern, and I'm definitely going to link it down below for you, by Spin a Yarn Crochet, and it's the website is spinayarncrochet.com, and she has all sorts of, I mean, countless amigurumi patterns on there, and Christmas ornaments and whatnot, and they're all free. So I'm starting her butterfly pattern in a few days. I think I'm giving my shoulders a rest, and then I'm going to crochet 2 butterflies for my goddaughter and her sister, because my friend, their mother, she asked me whether I would do that, and I said, well, yes, sure, of course I'm going to do that. And it's also like I have a little bit of time before these should be finished, before they are supposed to be gifted. And so it's definitely manageable for me, even if crochet is always a bit hard on my shoulders, but I think I can do it. So I'm starting another pattern of Jillian's. Jillian is the one who came up with all of those amazing patterns. So if you're a crocheter or you want to become one, definitely go and check out her website, because it's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful collection, and it's incredibly cute, the things she put together. I'm also debating crocheting the bee, because I'm becoming a beekeeper. I'm taking a year-long course, and I'm so fascinated by bees. I've already learned so much, and I want to keep my own bees, and I think, well, that should happen, this little crochet project. But now I'm going to make those butterflies, and then I'll see and take it from there. Okay, and then out of this very cotton yarn, I have finished a little dishcloth, and the way that I go about is I just use up, well, the 2 colors that I've chose. If I run out of one of them, which is what happened with the gray, I think, I'm just gonna add in another color, and I really don't care where and when. And I think what I did is I knit those 3 colors together right here. I'm going to show that up close. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't, because it's really not, like a non-knitter would never see, and probably a knitter wouldn't even notice. So I knit these 3 colors together for, I don't know, 8 to 10 stitches, or maybe even less. No, it's probably about 10 stitches, and just right. I'm going to show you here, right here. And then I won't have to weave in the ends, because weaving in the ends on garter stitch, I'm not a fan. And I have to weave in the ends on either end, but right in the middle, I really don't want to do that. So that's just what I did. And I snipped it off. This is, what's that? Grandma's favorite dishcloth, number 2 or something like that. So it's going to be on my project page, or it already is on my project page. I'm not super happy with that pattern, because it's, well, now I pulled it in shape, and it's about a rectangle, yes, but I mean a square. But it tends to go like this, and I don't like it being, it's not, well, can't really see on camera, but I can see it. It's usually a little bit askew, so much as to even look like this. Can you see how that just is off? I think now you can see it. And I've tried to tweak it, but I haven't managed. And I mean, it's a dishcloth, so I mean, it doesn't matter, but I wanted just, I'm looking for a pattern that's a bit more satisfactory in that way. Because with garter, it's so easy to get a perfect square that it's somewhat frustrating to get a wonky square, you know? And Kay the Crazy Sock Lady came, well, she ran into that same issue, and she discovered a different pattern is the word, where she says she doesn't run into that problem anymore. So I think I'm going to try that one, and I can link it down below for you, because I've zero idea well, who the designer is and what it's called, and you know, and whether it's free or not. No, it is free, that I know, because I already printed it out. But my dishcloth knitting game is not very strong right now, so I don't know these things off the top of my head, but I will put them down below for you. So if you're interested, you can go check it out. And then I included something, no, man, today is the language day. I finished something that I showed you last week when we spoke. And again, I don't have sock blockers on me, so you're just gonna have to deal with a wonky sock or two, because now I have two of those fellas done. So I'm just gonna show them to you, and then I'll say more about them. Oh, there's even still the stitch mark on here. Interesting. That's how they get lost. Here's another. I think this is the second sock that I did. Yes, definitely. So well, ends are not woven in, as you can see up here. I just stuffed them on the inside. But I first started off with this one, and the green colored yarns are all scraps that I had, and well, sadly still have, but this was a tiny scrap, and I thought, okay, I'm going to use that for the cuff, and I'll just knit as long as of a cuff as the yarn will last me, and that resulted in in 14 rounds of 2x2 rib, and I cast on 60 stitches, and then I went for a 5x1 rib pattern for the foot, so 5 knit stitches, 1 purl, and then, you know, to account for the 60 stitches. With 64 I could have gone with all kinds of things, and that is, I like the look, I like how they wear. I don't love knitting them because I always have to keep down, because I always have to keep looking down, because it's a weird rhythm. It's the 6 rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, purl. And the knitting 5, I don't know. It's weird. It should be. I feel like if it's 3x1 or 7x1, so divisible by 4, that's an easier rhythm to just keep going. But 6 is weird. I don't know. For me, maybe that's my own brand of crazy, but I don't love it. I don't love the 5x1. Anyway, I went with that here. I included just a slip stitch heel and gusset, and just my usual toe and everything. So yeah, that's what I did on this sock, and the leftovers from the tip of that sock went into that cuff, and it lasted me for exactly those 14 rounds. Then I used the same color for the heel, and I think that's about where I was, maybe around here, last time that we spoke. And then now, in the meantime, I finished the sock and closed up the heel with yet another green. And that's a pair that's going to be gifted. And now I have leftovers. So I used 50 grams of that purple yarn. I'm going to talk about that yarn in a second. And so I mean, I could make this exact same size pair again, but I wanted to make a mother-daughter set. So this is going to be the mother version. And now I cast on, and it's not going to be for me, I'm gifting this to someone, and this is now going to be the daughter sock. So I cast on 56 stitches. And again, went with the 2x2 rib for a few more rounds now. I don't remember. I want to say 18. Yes, it looks like that can be true. Let's say 18 rounds of 2x2 rib. And then I switched fell into a 3x1 rib pattern. See, those are a little bit closer together, those ridges. And that is just, for me, it's much more enjoyable to knit. I mean, there is more purling in it overall, but there is less counting. And so there is a rhythm, 1, 2, 3, purl, 1, 2, 3, purl. So I don't have to look down as much. Yeah, well, anyway, so I think, considering that I have so much yarn, I'm gonna knit the leg just a little bit longer, 2-3 centimeters, and then I'll put in the heel. cuff has, well, the cuff is very long. I don't care. They're going to be fine. And then I'll put in, again, this sort of green color for the heel. See, this is how much I have left over. This is Javol yarn or Avetta. I think this is Ficolana Avetta. Their sock yarn, just like very sturdy commercial sock yarn. And this should be Lavol by Lang Yarns. Same thing. These are really workhorses, as is this main skein. Hold on, here it is. A little wonky, a little disheveled, but it doesn't matter. See. I really enjoy those colors. I really do. And this is, the yarn is called Step by Austermann. So it really is a German, very sturdy German sock yarn. These are my favorites to knit socks with. Like those really more rustic-y sock yarns. And they last. They last you a long time. So this is the yarn. That's it. And the color is color 133. There you go. I am knitting these on a 2.25 millimeter needle, but I do the cast on a 2.5 millimeter needle, and then I knit one round, and then I switch to those smaller needles. These are my Knit Pro Zings, which I absolutely prefer for my sock knitting, and I'm going to tell you in a second what these sizes are in the States. So my 2.25 is a size 1 and the 2.5 is a size 1.5. So yeah, that's what I'm casting on with the larger, and then I quickly switch to the smaller ones, and I'll do what's it called, a German twisted or Old Norwegian cast on for the 2x2. I usually for socks go with a tubular cast on, but that will always result in a 1x1 rib, and I do find it to be a little loosey-goosey. If I want more structure and for the fabric to cling more to the leg, or onto the leg, however you say that, I go with the 2x2, and then I'll do the Old Norwegian cast on, and then I'll do the whole spiel with the larger needle, smaller needle, and then I'll take it from there. Okay, hold on. And I forgot to show you my little project bag. This is so cute. I got this at our drugstore. It's a drawstring bag, and it's got this little handle, so I'll hang it wherever I sit. Usually in the kitchen, it will hang by my seat. And it's the perfect size project bag for a sock project. And this my second and last work in progress is living in this bag, and you can see that it gets a little too small for it because it's all wonky, but I really enjoy that print. I bought it at Grene, whatever that shop is called, however you really say that, but it's a shop that we have a lot here. I'm going to show you the little label so you know the store that I'm talking about. And I'm really not a shopper, but this is where I get my cotton yarn. And so I stumbled across this little baggie, and I thought that's just very cute, and it's going to be perfect as a project bag. And I was right, it is. So, okay, let me get my stuff out of my bag so I can show you what I'm working on. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Right. I have shown you this last week. No, last time. And I've made good progress, if I do say so myself. I am not quite finished. I would have been finished on the weekend, maybe, hopefully, but it doesn't matter. You'll see the finished object next time, I'm pretty sure. And here is my top-down Raglan tweed sweater. So that is what it looks like. Well, I'm not gonna stand up else because I have a dress on, so you won't really see how long this thing is. Not super long. I adjusted the length so that it will be long enough for when I wear jeans, but it's not a long sweater, but it's definitely not a cropped sweater. And I went ahead and completed one sleeve, which you can see, and I made it so that it will hit me around, around here, so it will not cover my part of my hand, but sort of stop at, just cover the wrist. And usually I like the fabric to be a bit longer so I can pull it up, but for that sort of style, it didn't feel like the right look and like the thing that I would want on my body. So I wanted a real sort of sweatshirt style sweater that is no fuzz, that you can throw on, that doesn't have a whole lot of tailoring or anything. So this is really just a top down Raglan. I knit the Raglan until the Raglan increases until I thought, okay, so this will be big enough, and then I just knit straight down. So there's no decreases or anything going on. And with the sleeves, I went ahead and just decreased 2 stitches every 8 rounds. And I thought, because I was worried that if I went with every 10 or 11 rounds, it was going to be too baggy. And I didn't want for the sleeves to be super snug, but also I didn't want for a lot of fabric around my wrist, but for it to cling to the wrist. The ribbing at least. And so I thought I can always rib back if I need to space decreases differently throughout the sleeves, or at some point start decreasing at a different rate or with a different ratio. But it worked out fine. And I wrote it down on my Ravelry page. I added a few decreases in the end, but really just a few, as in 2 or 3, and that was it. And it worked out fine. And then I knit my cuff a tiny little bit longer than the what's it called? Also the cuff, right? Well, the collar, a little bit longer than the collar and the ribbing on the bottom. Initially I wanted for all of them to be the same length, but I wanted a bit more fabric down here. And also I went for a 2x2 ribbing instead of the 1x1 that I made for the collar and the hem, so that it would cling more to my sleeve, to my wrist, and not be as flexible, because I don't want for it to stretch out, or it was just not the fit that I was going for. And now I have started the second sleeve, and I have made a little bit of progress. I mean, sleeves tend to be a little bit slow in the beginning, but once they're decreased down a fair amount, you really kind of fly through them. And I feel in my bones that I'm really almost through with this project. And this is the progress that I made from, well, since last time we spoke. This is where my marker is. So I made put this little heart stitch marker in here. And I think my viewer Maud gifted me. Was it you, Maud? I think, yeah, I think so. So hi, Maud, if you're watching. It went right into one of my projects. So this is where I was at last time that I filmed. And I since finished the rest of the body. Hold on. So the left sleeve, one sleeve, and then cast on for the other. And it's not so that, yeah. That was good enough progress in my book. Goodness, I'm never going to be able and just gracefully disentangle those two words. They're always going to be such always going to be misused or like cross-used by me. I'm sorry. You always, in a foreign language, you always have something you always stumble across, and progress and project, those are definitely candidates for me, just like wound and wound. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I'm knitting. And so all the ribbing is knit in a 3.5mm needle, and the main body is knit on a 4mm needle, and those will translate into US sizes 4 and 6. And I need my 4mm needles, the bigger one, the size 6 US, for my next cast on, because I am planning on finally casting on the Mold Magic shawl, so my second iteration that I have been talking about for quite a while. I really want to do this now, and I didn't want to jump into it as I was still knitting on the sweater, because I figured if I start a modular knitting project, I will lose steam on my sweater, because with the modular knitting with Stephen West, the sort of patchwork knitting as I would call it, you knit one section and then you can put it aside or immediately add another little section, and it's like piecework. So it's is that a word? So it's a little bit here and a little bit there, and you get the satisfaction of being finished with, you know, one sort of project, if you will, fairly quickly, before you start adding on another section and another, the next and the next and the next. So I thought this is going to be so potato chippy for me that I'm not going to be interested in my sleeve anymore. And I don't want for that to happen. Plus, I want to use the Knit Pro Zing size 4 needle, 4mm that I have in the sweater, because I really enjoy them, the Knit Pro Zings, the fixed circulars. And yeah, so that's the deal. Even more motivation to get this done. And the yarn, the gorgeous tweed yarn, is Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy, and the colorway is Suit. So this is the wonky Hedgehog Fibers label, and I'm gonna show you the back of it in a second. That's the yarn that I'm using. I said that last time, so I'm just going to quickly say that again and not dwell on it too long. I was very intentional with this yarn when I bought it, because I'd seen it on podcasts, I'd seen it on Instagram and stuff, and I thought, this looks so fun. This looks like a really fun yarn to work with. I love tweed anyway, and there are bits of leftover hedgehog fiber yarns worked in there as the wobbly bits of the tweedy bits that are, so it's our own yarn waste that is spun in there. And I thought, or leftovers, and I thought that was such a cool idea. It was a good idea with regard to the environment, but it was also a good design idea. And I thought, so this looks very fun to knit up. But I wanted to only buy it and to indulge, because it doesn't come cheap, with a project in mind and also like a clear vision. And once I had that, and I really thought about this yarn for about a year, I thought, okay, now is the time to actually go and buy it and, you know, invest that money and make that decision, because I felt that I really wanted that. But I didn't want to just buy it to have it and then, you know, see whatever project rolls around. Because I'm not judging if that's what you like to do. You need to be the judge of that, you know, this is not for me to say. Or, you know, everybody has their way with their stash, and I'm not telling you how to do anything, but I just felt, or increasingly feel, that I don't want to accumulate too many yarns that don't have a purpose. Keeping some yarns that I don't know yet what to do with is an inspiration, but too many tend to overwhelm me, and that's just how my brain works. And I just didn't feel comfortable with that anymore. And I thought, okay, so if I'm gonna buy that, I need to have something very specific in mind. And once I had that, because like all of a sudden it clicked and I knew what to do with it, and then I went ahead and bought it, and I'm very happy with it. I think I'm only going to use I'm sure I'm only going to use 4 skeins. I bought a 5th just to be sure. This is a DK weight yarn. And I think I know what I'm going to do with the 5th. I debated returning it. Then I thought, okay, I don't have to return it. I can do something else. I think I'm going to do something else with it, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, the sweater is most likely going to use 4 skeins unless I figure out when I wear it, it's much too short and I really want to go back and add length. Then I might have to, you know, dig into the 5th. But that's, we're talking a few months down the road because now is not the weather to wear a sweater. And also I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. Okay, so these are my finished objects, works in progress, and I don't have anything else on my needles right now, but I can show you what I want to cast on when I have the sweater of my needles apart from the Marled Magic. Because the Marled Magic is for me is a couch knitting project, project, right word for once, where I have my selection of yarns that I'm going to use for that, and every so many, every few rows you will change one color, so you need to snip that one off and blah blah blah. And so I'm not going to take that places, but I'm going to knit that when I'm at home and remain seated for about an hour. Then I can take that out and tackle that project, but I'm not going to take that just so I have my knitting for the waiting room at the doctor's office or something like that. So I need another more portable project, and I've seen a pattern that I find really cool that I want in my wardrobe on the Knitting Traditions podcast. Inga of Knitting Traditions knit that pattern, and I thought, perfect, that is exactly what I want. And I found the pattern book. Now I'm going to flick through it to look for the photo of the sweater. It's I don't even know what it's called. It's a mohair sweater with a lace motif in the yoke. And of course now I cannot find it. I am sorry. Ooh, that's right. No. Yeah, that's right here. Hold on. What is it called? What are you called? Cherry. It's the cherry sweater. So the book is by Sandnes Garn, Mykt till dame. So that's the name right there. Mykt till dame. So that means soft for women. Sandnes Garn is the yarn producer, and they also sell a lot of patterns. I'm not super into Sandnes Garn, not for a reason, but they just have never, a love affair has not developed. But when I saw this pattern, and this I could buy without buying the yarn, because often it is Sandnes make it so that if you buy their yarn, you are sort of allowed to also purchase the book or the pattern leaflet or whatever, which is something I don't love about them. But this I could just purchase at the store, and I thought, okay, so then I'm just going to do that. I'm going to show you 2 pictures of that sweater. Okay, so that is the sweater. So it's a mohair sweater. There's another one here. I just thought it was very pretty, and I saw it knit up by Inga of Knitting Traditions in I think an orange color, which would not be my color, but it looked very cool on her, and it was made the lace motif a little more graphic, so it stood out a bit more because it was such color, and I thought that's what I want. That's what I want to make. And I went ahead and purchased Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair quite a while ago. It would still have been in winter, not quite a while ago as in a long time ago, but a few months ago. So I purchased Knitting for Olive in this sort of dusty pink shade. Plum Rose, Blumerosa is what it's called. Yeah, and I got 5, even 6 skeins. I'm not sure I'm going to use all of them, but I always like, sorry. But I always like to get more, so I'm not going to run out of the yarn. And I can always give back one of the skeins and, you know, get my money back or get store credit or whatever. That's not ever going to be a problem, doing something with that money in the yarn store, but I don't want to have one ball of mohair laying around, but I can always take it back. And so I have enough is what I'm saying. And isn't that a pretty color? I'm going to try this color out. It might be very warm for me, but I just felt the color and I thought, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to try it out. I'm going to knit the sweater in that color, and it's going to be fun, definitely. And I think it's going to be a nice color sweater. I hope I'm not going to look too pale in it. But then again, I always look pale, so that's just what it is, and I don't mind that at all. So that's my next sweater project, waiting to be cast on, living in a tote bag, waiting to be put into a project bag. I would be super interested in hearing in the comments down below what you are either currently knitting on or about to cast on, because I really do still enjoy knitting on my the sleeve of my sweater very much, but part of the fun is also that it's going to be finished soon, so that always gives me a little, you know, excitement, a little kick to, you know, also the sense of accomplishment that is just right there. I can already see it sort of, but also, I mean, the free needles that allow me to cast on something new and also devote time to whatever it is that I cast on new. That is just super exciting. So I am very eager to get inspired by whatever it is that you want to cast on or are dreaming of casting on over the summer. Maybe it's not something as warm and heavy. The mohair sweater is not going to be heavy, but warm for sure. As I am about to cast on, so maybe you have something more summery on the needles, or socks for summer sock camp, or I don't know what. So if you feel like it, I'd be very interested in hearing whatever it is that you're about to cast on, indulge in, and so on. Now I can talk to you about my mending. So last week I gave you sort of the stats on what I had been mending and the numbers, so that was fun collecting my, I want to say, data as I went about my mending business. I started doing that now, but there weren't so many things that I mended. I'm going to list them anyway. So I mended a sweater, 3 individual socks, a hat, 1 set of underpants again. I'm sure there were kids' underpants, and a t-shirt. And now for the interesting part. 3 pairs of jeans, 2 of which belong to me. So I'm going to start with that one. So I have my very, very, very loved Armed Angels jeans. I'm not sponsored. This is something I bought last year. I think so. About a year ago, a bit more than a year ago. I don't know. Not a terribly long time ago. I bought this. May have been last summer. See. Anyway, so the company Armed Angels is a sort of fair fashion, sustainable company that doesn't produce as much waste and toxic stuff and so on when they produce their garments. And jeans are especially problematic because they use up so much water, and the dye is not good for the environment or for the person that wears them, and so on. So I thought, if I have to buy new jeans, and I had just outgrown the style of my old ones, and my body that had three children, just didn't work well with those sort of the style of jeans that closes really around the hip, so that sit really low. Also, I'm just kids or no kids. I'm just so much older now than when I bought those, and I thought I'm going to have to invest into new jeans. You know what I mean. And I went ahead and bought this pair, and they're much more high-waisted and fit me so well and are so amazing. So these are really the jeans that I wear. And by the way, and all the time. By the way, on our vacation, on our trip to Amsterdam, my friend Francie, hi, and I learned from our host, who is a fashion designer, a sustainable fashion designer, that you don't ever have to wash your jeans fabric. If you want to get rid of germs and stuff, you're supposed to put it in the freezer, except obviously with kids, because they get extremely dirty and there's just no way you get the stains out. But if you just wear your jeans and their stains are not the issue, to clean them, just put them in the freezer for a day or two. That's what she told us. I haven't done that yet, but I found that very interesting. So anyway, I bought these, and eventually this happened. I was confronted with a hole in, where the thighs rub together. And when I was younger, really younger, I didn't know how to fix this. And I really remember the grief over throwing away my favorite jeans just because they were destroyed sort of in that area where the fabric gets most friction and tends to break first, right? And I didn't know what to do about it. And I ended up throwing them away and buying new clothes. Now I know better, and I still sort of grieve for those jeans that I threw away, back then. But now I know how to save them, and I'm going to quickly tell you what I did. So I did it on both sides, on both thighs, even if here there isn't a hole yet, but I wanted to prevent it from, coming into being. And I wanted to fix it on the other side just when that hole was just, how do you say that? When it was just starting, when it was still a little hole and not a big catastrophe. So what I did is I took other jeans fabric that I had and cut patches. You can cut them however you want. The size or the shape does not matter. It all depends on the area that you want to fix, how big, and the shape and whatnot. I just went ahead and did it like this. Pinned them on, put the fabric down with the wrong side facing up under my sewing machine, and just with broad zigzags, with a straight stitch, but going zigzaggy over the fabric, back and forth and back and forth. See, here, went over the fabric, and to just secure the patch. Maybe you can see like that, right? And same on the other side. Where is it? Down here. And then once the fabric, and you really have to pay attention so that you don't catch other fabric and sew part of your leg on or something like that of the pants, right? Once that was done and I knew the patch was in place, I turned it, right side out, put it under the machine like this, and then you do the patches. You always do them individually, right? So I put like one side under the machine, and then I went in zigzag stitches that are closer together. You can also make it, and I've made it in the past so that they're much more closely together, so that there's only 1 millimeter or 2 in between those stripes or lines that you sew up and down and up and down, up and down with the reverse button. Here I allowed for quite a bit of space because the fabric wasn't as torn, and I can always now when the fabric thins out a bit more, or what usually happens, the thread eventually after a year or two has rubbed off in places, just zigzag over it again. You don't have to do anything else. Just sew over the whole thing again in exactly that way. And so this is how I did it. See? I think you should be able to see those zigzag stitches. Again, straight stitches, but hold on. I have to take my hand out. Here you can really see it, right? And you can go as tight together or as wide apart with your stitches as you want. It doesn't matter. It produces a fabric that at first it's a little bit stiff, but once you wear it for an hour or two, you will not feel it. It will not be stiff on your body, like it won't scratch or be unflexible or anything like that. Nobody will see, because you will only ever sit on that area, Nobody will ever see. This will always be covered. And even if you did see that, it wouldn't be horrible. You can make it pretty invisible with the right sort of thread. See, it's hard to see now, but you can also play with it and put some fun colors in if it's your kids' pants, for instance, or I don't know, you can do whatever you want. So this is very sturdy. So this is going to last. So I will actually be able to wear these until, so long as they fit my body, I will not need to replace them because those areas wear through. And that is such a game changer. So do try that on your jeans. Don't ever, be afraid of messing anything up when there's a hole in them, in a garment. It's already messed up, so you can only make it better. Try that and you will be amazed with how easy it is, how fast it is. You don't need to be a seamstress. You only need to know how to sew a straight line and how to push the reverse button. and that's that. So and it is very sturdy, and it really does last. It saves you a whole lot of money. And I was gifted, I want to say, a pair of jeans. Well, I say that because there were other things involved and they were sort of dumped on me, and I don't know the person well, so that things that had to be mended, and that was, well, that was a weird scenario. But in this what's it called, like in this I don't know, collection of clothes that this person gave me, and I was a bit frustrated because, no, well, that's a different story. But in this collection of clothes that they gave me, there was this one pair of jeans that I thought, these could actually fit me. I tried them on, they fit perfectly. Again, a bit more high-waisted than I used to wear, which is just right for me. They're Mavi jeans, which, that's the label. Maybe you know the brand, so it's a nice brand. Like, it's a good pair of jeans. And I thought, because that person, she said she was just going to dump them and throw them away. I thought, excuse me? Don't do that. Which is how I came in the possession of, these jeans. And I tried them on and they fit perfectly. They're a bit short, so they're like for summer or fall. I mean, not accidentally, but intentionally so. And I thought, I can make great use of them. The only thing I need to do is close the same holes again. So that's what they look like. Classic, right? Who doesn't know that? Just worn through, and what I used to think of as beyond repair, but that's not true. So I did the very same thing. I cut out jeans fabric patches, put them on here, just went over them to secure them, turn it inside out, and then worked my way across them. See, and maybe you can really, because the color is a good match, the color of the thread, so you really have to go look on this little piece of worn through fabric, and then you can see the lines. Just to get an idea of like how tightly I did that. And the same for the other rub. Right, for the other spot is what I meant. And that's the end of that story. That's my mending journey. And then there's a third pair of jeans. Those I actually found on the street. It is incredible how many items of clothing you find on the street in Berlin. Some of them are like in gift boxes. Like people really pack boxes with stuff that they have decluttered, or be it, items from, around the house, or books, or clothing from their kids and themselves, and I put it on the sidewalk and then put a sign on it to be gifted. That's what I often do. And whoever walks past it may grab something, and then in the evening you take the box back upstairs, and usually it's empty. But this I really just found dumped on the street, and this is a Tommy Hilfiger jeans, and I thought, see, you can tell, and I thought someone paid good money on this. This does not fit me because it's a teeny tiny size. It's maybe it doesn't look like it on camera, but it's what I think of as a kid size. And I thought, still, I'm going to be able and fix this, because it's the same problem with just a section that is completely rubbed through. Not completely, but worn very thin also, and then broken in some places. And that is most certainly why they were dumped in the first place. I fixed them in the same manner, which I'm not going to show you now because you got the idea. And I need to give them to someone, because if I save them for my daughter, it's going to be quite a few years in storage. Francie, if your oldest daughter wants them, let me know. If I may use this platform as a sort of, if I may use the platform for these, matters now. But see, goodness, this is the pants folded together. So this gives you an idea of how tiny they are. So not for me, for sure. But a fun pair of jeans, I think a good pair of jeans. And yes, they are well loved, but yes, they can be worn still. And they can live life, they're not that old. And so someone is going to be enjoying them. So I'm going to give them to someone's daughter, I think, or son for that matter. For whichever kid I know that would wear them or wants them. Oh, yes. My current obsession is once more the Emma movie, the 2020 Emma movie by Autumn de Wilde. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Just Autumn, and Autumn is such a beautiful first name. Beautiful. I just find it so beautiful because I love fall so much, but Autumn, it also has this beautiful ring to it. I keep thinking, like, if I lived in an English-speaking country, came from an English-speaking family, I might have called my daughter Autumn. That's just so beautiful. Anyway, that is the latest adaptation of Emma, and I've talked about it more than I want to admit here on this podcast. So if you've been around for a while, you will have heard my ramblings and praise of that movie. If you haven't seen it, by all means watch it. It is just so fun. I think it's become my favorite movie. It's just so amazing. So many amazing actors and actresses, and just every character is cast perfectly. Just perfectly. Not only Miss Bates and Mr. Knightley, that are so important to get them right, but also everybody else. It's just such an amazing movie, and I am deep into that rabbit hole again. It's like I said last time, it's my summer movie. During summer, I want to watch it every day. And often enough, I do have it on every day, which isn't to say that I watch the entire movie every day, because I wish, but it's a daily companion for sure in some form or another. There's also, I'm taking piano lessons now, and there is a song that Jane Fairfax and Mr. Knightley play together, and I tried to learn that on the piano just to get a bit deeper into that rabbit hole. It's hard for me because I'm a newbie piano player, but I'll get there. It's not a race. Eventually I'll be able to play that song and I'm going to be very proud. Yeah, but so that is my rabbit hole. That is my obsession, and it's my current obsession, but it's for sure going to last over the summer. So I'm once again back at square one where I started my podcast, and deep into the Emma rabbit hole. But it's a beautiful place to be, and I really would recommend it to everyone. Again, if you haven't seen the movie, oh my goodness, it's amazing. It is amazing, and I can't get over how perfectly everyone is cast, and I have seen it, my fair share of times, but how Mr. Knightley has all the different layers to him, or like to his character, how he is just as he should be, right? As complex as he is, even if in the beginning he doesn't look like a complex character. Maybe that makes sense to you. Anyway, so I'm ending Emma talk now. Other than Emma, I finished watching the Young Queen Charlotte thing on Netflix, so the Bridgerton spinoff. I do enjoy Bridgerton. I enjoy Bridgerton a whole lot. And I did enjoy Queen Charlotte as well. It definitely has that fingerprint, the Shonda Rhimes fingerprint on it. So it's really definitely and clearly a Bridgerton original, sort of. But it also, while it is engaging and scratches that Bridgerton itch, sort of, it is not as engaging as the other ones, as the real Bridgerton series. Well, it's good for the waiting period until the next season comes out, but it's not their equal, really, if that makes sense. So it was fun, though. I mean, I really enjoyed watching it. And I think that with that, I have come to the end of my podcast for today. Excuse me as the helicopter flies over the house. Okay, well, I had to pause because it was very loud with the helicopter flying over the house. Yes, so now I have talked my way through my project and my obsessions and shared my various thoughts on various things with you. And all I can say now is thank you so much for allowing me to hang out with you today. Thank you for sticking around, till the end, because if you hear this, you did. And thank you so much. If you're still here, you might as well consider liking and subscribing below. If you want to support this podcast in any way, shape, or form, you may head over to my Ko-fi page, which I'm linking down below for you, and make a teeny tiny donation to the podcast and help support it, if that is something you want to do. There are no expectations, and there is no goal set in that regard or anything like that. If you're just here for, as a companion and to hang out and just to tune in, then that's obviously absolutely fine. So I think I'm going to be back in about 2 weeks, and I'm already excited for my finished sweater that I hope I'll be able to show you then. Until then, I hope you enjoy whichever season it is where you're at, so very cold or very hot or somewhere in between, because we're going back and forth here too. So, and I hope you have your knitting or crochet or sewing or whatever sort of making, stitching to hold on to. And yeah, I wish you happy knitting, happy making, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.